It is very careful about preserving that reputation. Let us not, therefore, pursue this talk of expropriating foreign capital. It is not worth it. We are not such a poor country as to go about indulging in tactics which will lose us the goodwill and the credit of the world, and which will, perhaps, leave a feeling of wrongdoing in our minds and hearts. Even inside our own country, we cannot think of schemes and policies in isolation. We deal, for example, with the zamindari system and other schemes relating to land. What are referred to as schemes of social engineering cannot often be dealt with in the normal way of acquisition of land or property. We cannot acquire the whole land at once. We have to go about it gradually. We have to find out about our capacity to pay. And then the payment can be graded. That is, when we acquire the property, as we did in the case of zamindars, the relatively poor zamindar gets full compensation, 100%. Another person may get about 80%, then there and the fourth. There is no trouble there. But let us look at the industrial and business ventures. We are acquiring the Imperial Bank. So far as I know, we are paying pretty full compensation, in whatever form it may be. By not doing so, we may save a little money here and there, but it will injure us. It will be even more wrong in the case of the small owners not to give them full compensation. I am surprised that one of these minutes of dissent hints that we are out to harm the small owner. I submit that it is an unfair charge. Nobody can do it. How can we, this parliament? Or this government? Can anybody conceive of this parliament or any other legislature going out to harm the small owner? The self-interest of the average member will shout out against such a step, if nothing else. Coming to industrial property, our approach is that the government should never acquire any old plant except for the purpose of holding some strategic point for the obvious. We are an underdeveloped country. Industrially speaking, we want to industrialize the country. We want hundreds of factories to go up in every corner of the country. We are not going to acquire anything unless it comes in the way of our planning. The idea which is sometimes put forward by some honorable members opposite, that a kind of general scheme of nationalization would bring about great equalization, is incorrect. Drastic equalization in that way simply means equalization of the lowest stage of poverty. That is not good enough. We want to raise our country's standards and yet bring about this equalization so that we can go 80 towards an egalitarian society. The whole idea of nationalization does not come into the picture at all, except that when to planning requires that some strategic point which comes in its way should be taken possession of, the state should control it. Otherwise the state should go ahead and build up new state plans. The public sector becomes bigger and more important and productive, letting the private sector advance simultaneously. If the public sector is eating into the private sector, there is no total advance, even though there might be some advantage from the social point of view. We shall only be losing our resources by shifting a factory from the private to the public sector. The House will forgive me if I often talk about atomic energy. I do that because I wish people to realize how the whole basis of our future industrial living pattern may be affected. I have no doubt that just as we were affected by the advent of steam and electric power, the advent of atomic power in the next 10, 15 or 20 years will make a vast difference to the running of all our factories. This is another reason why we should not go about wasting national resources in mere acquisition of property when we can build other plants which are more modern. And if we have to acquire property, we should pay just and equitable compensation. There may be many rich men owing these interests, but many of these large properties are limited liability companies with a large number of shareholders. We do not wish to deprive them. I therefore say again that all this apprehension is completely misplaced. It ignores not only existing conditions in India but the probable future line of advance. We talk about a socialist pattern of society, industrialization, the removal of unemployment, of higher standards, and so on. What is really necessary is somehow to activate and dynamic the base of the Indian social structure. I want the House to appreciate this phrase. No doubt there must be approaches from the top, but there has been too much activating from the top layers too. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more informative videos like this one. Hit that notification bell to stay updated with the latest tips and tricks to succeed in your exams. Stay connected with us on social media for additional resources and updates. Join our Telegram group https://t.me/Lakshyasteno. For any query, WhatsApp on 99915607999.